Hornet, why don't you kind of run through our syllabus?
Well, one second, I want to get to that. I want to talk about Zero to Hero in just a little bit more detail, because I know for me, man, you're looking at all these controls and you're trying to figure out how you're going to put them on your joystick, regardless of which one you have. And that alone, I mean, you could spend, days on end just trying to get it set up to what you want. And
doesn't help that they give you a Russian jet too to start with for free, so you can't even read the controls.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true, right? For the free jet that's in DCS, but I'm saying is, you want an adventure, you want to play a game, right? Now maybe you want to take it more serious or whatever, but you have to start by doing something that real pilots don't have to do. And that is, how am I going to make all of these controls work, right? And so that's one extra challenge that we have. And that is probably one of the biggest struggles. So I do some profiles for Star Citizen, trying to make some control setup. And the people that use it are very passionate because the time it saves. So I don't want to negate the fact that when you say Zero to Hero and you spend, how long do you think you spend with somebody who doesn't have their joystick set up, just getting that portion done for them?
Sir, I want to let you know that I have gone as far as remote accessing somebody's computer to help them with sound systems.
I can confirm.
That's a real thing.
Yes, and I'm not a very tech savvy person, but like you say Zero to Hero, I not just me, all of us, we will sit there and we will say like, hey, we'll look up the HOTAS that you have. Okay, well, hey, you're flying on a budget, no issues. We've got about 6 major keybinds that we really recommend you do, and the rest you can just click on or substitute later as you see fit. But we will sit there and one for one, and I love it when people have an X56. I will always preach how great the X56 is.
Preach.
I will sit there with the X56 and say, okay, switch 1, landing gear. Switch 2, landing light. Switch 3, and we will go through the entire mapping of stuff. But what we do here, and what's really unique is we don't shoot guns, we don't shoot missiles, we don't drop bombs. So we will map your HOTAS in a logical way that will get you through our syllabus that allows you to continue and, as I said before, substitute, hey, I'm not too worried about, having this do this now. I'd rather have this do, soy right or soy left or something.
And
yeah, we do it all.
Yeah, and that's why I say it's God's works, because that is, people can have trouble with joysticks, with power issues and hub issues, and having to do, USB suspend turned off, and there is an unimaginable amount of headaches you can run into with that crap.
SRS issues.
Right. So I'm saying that when you say, doing this stuff, I want people to understand the grind that you're willing to get into, because I think that's a huge barrier of entry. You get in, you get frustrated, you don't understand it. There's, so many things that you may not know, and there's so much you have to learn that collectively between you guys, I'm guessing there's, a decade's more worth of knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'd say Tanner might hold most of it, but
yeah, I'm a little bit of a nut when it comes to the books.
Yeah, he wrote our entire SOP. This man can tell you everything about anything, and he'll deny it, but
yeah, I definitely can't tell you everything about anything. Otherwise, I'd probably be a god or something. But
I don't know.
He
is who I go to when somebody asks me something I don't know.
Yeah,
Apollo was there for I would say at least 75 to 90% of my training. I was working with Hornet. Apollo would be there as well, answering questions, and yeah, the wealth of knowledge is definitely there.
Yeah, and that's again, I joke on doing all this work for people. And I think it's a great service. And I appreciate it. And that's why I wanted to bring you guys on and discuss it, because I think the community should be aware. And I mean, could you imagine what my experience might have been like had I got all my stuff together? Where am I going to go? Oh, I want to learn the Hornet. There's a Hornet school. I'd have been all in.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So again, there's a Discord link in the description. If you're even considering the Hornet, or if you want to learn a new jet, I would go through this. And so the best. Now, so I'm biased because we do a lot of hard things, and the Hornet makes such sweet sympathy of things it can do to help you do complicated things. That's why I love that jet. But let's ask this one question, then go to the syllabus. What are some of the biggest struggles you've seen with your students?
So the biggest struggle is burnout. It's DCS is not for everyone, and it unfortunately you get to the point where most of the time in our syllabus it's around day 2. So we have a 7-day syllabus. By no means is it fathomably able to be completed in 7 days. But most of the time at day 2, that's where we start to see washouts, and it's unfortunate, but it's a reality. Not every person is psychotic like us.
Sure.
You know, you're gonna get people that are like, I just want to go on DCS dogfighters, man. Just show me how to take off and land, and or geez, I also have the Harrier and I have the Tomcat. I just bought the F-18. And I'm like, listen, man, like this, you've got to commit to like one thing, and I promise you it'll be rewarding at the end. But people just lose interest. They get burnt out, and that's really the biggest problem. We have never had a problem student. We have never had anybody that we cannot teach.
Technically one, but
okay.
I don't think he actually signed up to be a trainee. So,
but we are there. We will break our backs so that you can have an ounce of fun, because it's so rewarding at the end. Whenever and we just recently we had 2 graduates graduate our program this weekend, and it's so rewarding at the very end when they're sweating bullets. They're actually being tested and graded and evaluated at a capacity of, well, it's pretty stressful.
Hornet's throwing his notebook across the room during bolters.
Oh, but it's so rewarding at the very, very end when they can finally relax for that second and take that deep breath and say like, wow, I did something pretty cool. And then we have to burst their bubble and tell them, okay, well, you just scratched the surface. All right, now let's go and get into tack turns and all.
Nice.
But no, we do it because we love to see the results, and we love to hear the stories. We had a graduate who since we've just brought on as a mentor, but after he graduated, he joined up with a new squadron, and he wrote back to us and said, you guys, after I joined the squadron, I felt so confident when I joined the squadron how to fly the Hornet, and I just wanted to thank you guys for all the knowledge that you gave me. So those are the things that we love to hear.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you talk about the struggles and what makes someone be dedicated and want to come back. I know in our squadron, we literally tell people in our propaganda that we are not good for people who don't know the Hornet. You must know the jet well, because I can't teach you what we do and the flying at the same time. Those who are dedicated, I mean, that's just pure vertical learning curve, right?
Simple as impossible.
Yeah. And it's not fair to ask them that. So to me, the most successful people come with knowledge of the jet, a desire to learn, and the more they come back, the better. We had one guy who I won't name. He came and I think we flew 4 or 5 nights a week, and it was motivating me because he was motivated. And so I don't know if that kind of is one of the things you guys like, but I love it when students come and they learn and they just want to keep going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see a lot of that. They want to keep going, and we're like, okay, it's 11:30. I got to work tomorrow morning.
I always worry, like when you're teaching someone, for like 3, 4, 5 hours, which we've all done, Saturday afternoon, and you get caught up and realize this person's just a sponge for information. But I worry, how much are you actually retaining at the end of the day? Like, or am I just rambling and pattering on for nothing?
And just like, like in anything, different people learn at different rates. We have students that come on that learn really, really quickly. And then there's others that take a little bit more time and patience to work out, their overhead brake or going on speed AOA and things like that, which is fine. And they practice, and the next time we see them, we see the improvement. So we'd love to see stuff like that.
I'm glad that you guys have had that experience because I think it's motivating and it helps me. Before we move on to the syllabus here, you have a guy, Tristan, in chat here who says that you're impeccable in your ability to push knowledge onto others is wonderful. And then another guy here, Just Doc, says, because I asked him what his biggest challenge was, and it was CQ for sure, because you're being graded by AAR as always. Challenging while in school, the biggest success is knowing you have achieved something and progressing with more knowledge, right? So you got some of your students that are here giving you guys praise. That's great.
Awesome. Love to hear it.
Love you guys.
All right, let's stop teasing this syllabus and let me bring up what you just sent me here. Give me 1 second. And let's actually open this up and we'll share this here. This is a little bit small. The way
it's a little goofy. I ended up just breaking it into separate messages.
Okay. Yep. You know what I'll do? I'll just share our chat here. How's that?
That works.
That works great.
That's good.
Okay. So day 0. You guys take it from here. Tell me what you want to cover.
Oh, we'll do that. We'll just do kind of a quick synopsis of the whole thing, and then we'll focus on what I think the bread and butter of being a naval aviator and essentially flying the Hornet is carrier operations. Day 0. What we start with is we do cockpit familiarization. We, to the best of our ability, will handle any software or hardware issues. Navigating the DCS isms. You can see up there where we talk about HOTAS mapping, SRS, and we'll go through names of panels, necessary keybinds, and the startup procedure. So that is before we even get off the ground. And typically that right there is about an hour and a half. So a lot of the times, day 0, you don't even leave the ground. We just show you how to turn it on, and then, at that point, they're either task saturated because of the amount of buttons we made them click to even get to DCS, or it's after work and it's nighttime. They're like, hey man, we've been at this for an hour. I gotta get to bed. So that's day 0 in a nutshell. I'll let somebody else cover day 1.
You want to cover day 1?
I can do it.
Go ahead, Tanner.
Sure. So our like Hornet said earlier, our syllabus is not actually 7 days long. It takes much longer, and we break it up based off of individual student necessity. So some students need more time on certain days certain elements. For example, day 0 could take an hour, could take 5 hours, right? If they are having issues plugging in information, getting their jet set up, or getting DCS to work, which I know for everyone is always a struggle. We can accommodate really any kind of situation there. Moving towards our day 1, though, that's really where we're starting to break down our fundamentals. We're learning how aircraft fly, how AOA works, how do we maintain on-speed AOA, and what does that really mean for us? And we have students fly different in-flight profiles, takeoffs, landings, as well as straight and level flight and turns. And throughout these maneuvers, they're learning how to keep coordinated. They're learning how to scan different instruments looking outside the aircraft. And they're starting to build that pilotage skill and ability that will become so inherently crucial once we get to the later stages. So this first few days that we're really working with the student, it's some of the most important. This is really where they're going to be learning the foundation. And if you don't get a good start there, it almost always crumbles later down the road somewhere, right? You're going to find some kind of deficiency, whether the student is having issues with angle of attack or having issues with making a turn level to the horizon. These are things that we try to hammer out that day 1 so that moving forward they can have more success.
Well, these are the baseline skills you need to be able to start flying and working together as a team to learn anything else.
Absolutely. Like we said, if you don't have those skills, everything else doesn't really, everything else can't build on top of each other. So being able to work with the team, it starts on the ground working with your instructor. You're building a team or a bond with your instructor. You're developing communication skills, asking questions, and going back and forth, learning how to operate the aircraft. And then as you transition to flight, you're going to learn more and more of those essential skills in terms of instruments in your cockpit, flying the different maneuvers and the different parameters that we have listed there, and starting to build that, like I said earlier, that pilotage and that capability that is so crucial.
I would say, now we work with real world JTACs, we work with real world intercept control guys, and we have to fly to those realistic standards. It makes it very hard. But these skills here are what allows us to do that. And they are more important than your ability, in my opinion, to use weapons. I don't care. You can learn weapons in Crash Lobby video in about 1.5 minutes, depending on which weapon it is. Punch this button, arm that, do this, put the code in, you're done. These are the skills, in my mind, that separate the really good pilots when they master these basics. Like an athlete talking about mastering their basic skills, this is the critical stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have to have these before you could actually do all that combat stuff. I mean, you need to be able to navigate to where you need to place that bomb, and after you place that bomb, how to get back safely without killing yourself. So you need all of these fundamental skills. I
think what I'm saying is I'm approving of your syllabus. Not that you need my approval, but
good to hear.
Sorry, continue on.
So yeah, from there we do 1.5. And again, I keep having to say this because a lot of people think this happens overnight, and it really doesn't. It does take time. We will do day 1, and I will send you off, and I say, hey, spend about an hour a day practicing this for 3 days, and then come back and visit us. But you have got to work on some of these things on your own to retain it, because I can't just show you this once and then it just stick in your head. I mean, it's just too much information. So as I said, it could be a week before we get to day 2. It could be a week. It could be day 3 and 4. You may be doing the same day because you're just phenomenal at whatever the topics are. But anyways, I digress. Back to day 0.1 or 1.5. That's kind of a in-between day where it can happen anywhere. It could really happen anywhere in our lesson, but it's a good chance for us to introduce, hey, here is the bare bones basic of radio brevity and the bare bone basics of the concept of formation flight, because both of those things are not going away. And if you can't learn anything else, I would hope that you can at least have the confidence to say where you're at, who you are, what you're doing, and on the radio, and hopefully have some competence with formation flight. Because where does formation flight really matter? At the tanker. So, the entire syllabus does build on itself, and I promise you, if you're in here watching and you're looking at this and thinking, hey, this is a lot, or some of these things that looks like I don't really need to worry about, every single thing you do leads to the next lesson in some weird way. I promise you. For instance, day 1, when you're doing AOA, you're using your throttle like a washboard. This is the first time you've realized, hey, I didn't realize my left hand had to move so much. Then you go to day 1.5, and then I tell you, hey, now you're going to fly formation off somebody, and they realize it's not as easy as just holding your stick and throttle still. So essentially, that's 1.5. It's kind of a bonus day for us to kind of show you, hey, this is how to do form, and this is radio brevity. And I'll let somebody else do day 2.
Well, let's talk about something really quick. You're saying that this is overwhelming in time. I think you got to put that in context. Again, a real fighter pilot's going to work years. Your gentleman here, Just Doc, said he completed this in a month and a half. So to go from 0 to graduating your school with basic skills in a month and a half, you just got to understand, you just compressed probably 2 or 3 years of training, right? Yeah. So let's be realistic. And here's probably a more important point. What can you do with these skills? You can join a squadron and you can challenge yourself and you can become part of a team. So you're working to achieve something that you can't do at the same level in, War Thunder or, like I was doing in Battlefield. Yeah, there was the teamwork, but the flying was very boring. It was very not a challenge. And the systems were like, cycle to a target, fire. It was the simplest 2 buttons you ever had. So that was not a challenge. There was no weaponeering involved, right? But I don't want to underemphasize the fact that these are the critical skills, and the fact that once you get them, you can do so much more. It's what you get in the long run, right? You can't look at the hard work now, because the motivation should be that incremental success and thinking, gosh, when I'm done, I want to be able to contribute to a squadron and do missions.
Mm-hmm. And the way this is designed is we teach the absolute bare bone basics, and kind of what every squadron will expect. That's what we teach, and it's nice because it's not too hard. It's challenging, but it's broken up into bite-sized pieces because it's based off the things that I desperately wanted to know how to do whenever I got to my first squadron, and that's essentially how I built this syllabus and put this together. Is what was challenging for me. I wanted to keep it very, very short, because the longer you make this rope that you have to climb, the less you want to climb it, right? So I just wanted to pick the bare bone basic things, teach that, and then send people out, to go have fun.